Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our Thursday Q&A VIP session. And today I have a special guest who, I was really excited to have on. We had like a first try, I think, back in December, and then there was some family stuff going on. And, I'm really happy to call him a friend. I call him a partner, and he's running Rooster Capital. And like family is one of his biggest values. We're going to probably talk today about that, right? And I'm super happy to have him on today. Hey, Drew Haney, how are you, my friend?
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Robin. Nice to be here.
That's great. Drew, for everybody who doesn't know you, tell us a little bit who you are, what do you do, and I know you're the fun guy in the lending world, right? Like, so
Yeah.
let's get into that a little bit today.
Well, first off, I want to say I probably see you twice a year in person. And so I'm 6'3", which I don't know, it's like the 99th percentile for height. And pretty much the only time I meet someone taller than me is when I meet you. And it's always weird to look up to somebody. So I think God put you in my life just to keep me like down to earth, humble. So hopefully, I think you're from a tall family, which means I think you said you're the shortest one of the
He's all,
brothers, right?
yeah. My dad is 6'1".
Okay.
Um, no, he's 6'4". He's almost as tall as you, like maybe 6'3", like anything in between. I
Yeah.
think he's shrinking me now, right? Like that's what it is. And but
But
my
you said your
brother's,
brother,
yeah,
yeah,
he's almost 6'9". So like
yeah.
he's like half an inch more than I am, and he's really tall. And when we just like hang out somewhere, right? Like the two big teddy bears come around and
Yeah.
just rock and roll. It's always a lot of fun, dude. Like, and my mom is 6 foot. Like that's really tall, I guess.
Yeah, you guys fill that German Austrian stereotype perfectly.
That's it. I mean, we have Vlad here on the call. Like, if you're in Zoom, like, join us here. Vlad, you're like 6'4",
Yeah.
6'5",
6'5".
6'5". Yeah, he's tall too. So it's a tall people session
Yeah.
today. Glenn, I don't
Yeah.
know how tall you are, but I'm probably you can fit in here just like from the personality perspective, right? So that's it.
Well, hey, nice to see everybody. Thanks, Robin, for having me on. I know we've been waiting a few months to kind of talk and share and collaborate. And Vlad, nice to see you. Glenn, uh, I'm sure I'll meet you sometime at a future event. We got Harold here, Vince, Tom, and then anyone on the Facebook and socials. Robin, remind me your first question before I derailed us with
Just
height.
give us a little rundown. Who's Drew Haney? Like, what does he do? Bring us a little bit into history, like also your background in
Yeah.
land, because I know you started out as an investor, switched then on the capital side of things. Like, bring us a little
Yep.
bit into the picture. Who's Drew?
Yeah, good question. I spent my 20s in the Army. I did logistics and jumped out of airplanes. And I really, I made a lot of leadership mistakes on the government's dime. And it was great because I really, really cut my teeth on how to be a quality leader. It's not that I'm perfect now, but I've made massive improvements on the government's dime. And so that's why I'm so pro military service, is simply from a selfish perspective of just really getting quality experience while you're so young. So I did that, left the Army late 20s. I was day trading full time for 2 years, part time 3 years before that. And I eventually had to face the realization that I wasn't profitable, or at least consistently profitable. And so I decided, hey, I need to go back to the United States. I was in Korea at the time. We were living overseas, uh, living off of my wife's salary as a professor, and came back to the States, got a job, and then COVID starts like 2 hours or 2 months into this auditing job I had. And they sent us home. And then I realized very quickly, hey, if I don't socialize with people and I get my work done really quick, I'm only busy about 2 hours a day. Because as an auditor, there's not a ton of meetings you go to. It's almost like you just get a batch of homework that you need to get done every few weeks. And so I would spend 2 weeks on the land business, and then I'd spend the last week cramming and uh, doing all my auditing work before it was due. And that's kind of how I started out was, um, I guess, double dipping for about 15 months. And then even though the jihad was super cushy and only 2 hours a day, um, it was still clear to me that I needed to kind of cut that leash if I wanted to really thrive in the land business. So I left full-time job. At this point, I had almost a fully functioning team. And then very quickly, I got my land business to where it was about 5 hours a week of effort for me. So I had employees buying, employees selling, kind of built the systems. It was kind of like a Honda Civic with like duct tape keeping things together. It worked and it got you where you need to go, but certainly wasn't sexy. During that time, Ajay Sharma, I was in an event with him and he heard that I was sitting on about 100K of cash. And I was annoyed because I just couldn't get it out fast enough into deals. And so he connected me with an operator that needed deal funding, sent out pretty much all that money immediately, and then kind of started accidentally funding deals from there. So the operator said to me, "Hey, you're the best one we've worked with. You're easy. You don't stress about stuff. You don't nitpick annoying details. Do you just want to fund all of our deals?" So that would have been summer of 2022. So I started funding all of their deals. And then that's kind of where I got to a point, I would say 2023, 2024, where I really had to look at both my land business and my funding business. And I realized that I was kind of B plus at both. And that's when I decided to sell all the assets and all the notes out of my land flipping business, just do funding full time. Because at the time I felt like I was a good land flipper, but a great funder. And so went full time into Rooster Capital. We now have one full-time employee in Houston and then me, and that's it. So very boutique, very private, very small. I've done 700 deals in the past 5.5 years, 300 of my own and 400 I've funded. And yeah, that's what I do. Flips, subdivides. I look at a lot of entitlements, um, sell a lot of notes. Yeah, all the bread and butter of our business.
That I love that. I mean, like there's a lot of juice in there, right? Like what you literally did is like you went all in 2 times, right? The first time, like, hey, let me go into the land business and make a decision at a certain point to get out of auditing, like to really spend the time to build the Honda Civic with duct tape. I love that analogy, by the way.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people feel like this, right? Maybe more duct tape than Honda Civic a lot of times, right? But then you made the second time the decision when you said like, hey, I was B plus at both, what is fitting my lifestyle more, right? We had this discussion like, hey, like what do I really want from life? And then you pivoted to go all in on that one thing. And then building in this like 2 3 years since you're doing that, like a 400 deal track record is like something that is like pretty much insane, right?
Yeah. And we're actually upgrading our systems right now because our current systems can handle, maybe max 15 flips a month. But I'm upgrading to a Notion platform where it can handle triple the volume. So
Love that.
making a lot of under the hood upgrades. The money and deal piece is constantly a teeter-totter. That's very difficult. There's seasons where I have too much money, not enough deals, which was basically the last 6 months. And then now in the past 2 weeks, it flip-flopped entirely where all the money's gone. Deals are flooding in, and I just spent the afternoon at a cigar lounge with some Armenian business owners, showing them how they can get involved in investing in Rooster Capital, not investing in the entity, but investing in these deals. So it's kind of a constant teeter-totter game, and it's a difficult balance, but I enjoy it because it's very relationship based, where really 90% of my job is to nurture and build these relationships, it's almost like I'm getting paid to make friends, which is really fun. What's the best thing that can happen is if you're an 8-year-old boy and it's a Friday afternoon. You just got home from school. What would be the best call you could get from your buddy? It would be, hey, I just got a Lego Death Star. Do you want to spend all weekend building it with me? Right? So that's what I get to do by doing deals with people that I enjoy. We get to build something together. We get to do projects together. And so it's just a really fulfilling role, often stressful. Uh, yeah, like if it's Friday afternoon and I have to find 350K by Monday, that's not fun. Um, but it's yeah, life would be boring without it.
Dude, I love that. I mean, you know, what I really like about the way you approach business, the way the first encounter, like, I don't know, like 1.5, 2 years ago, I think on one of RJ's events, right? And said, I look for an operator, right? And then fund all their deals, right? Because and what you do is you don't vet a deal that much, you vet an operator a lot, right? Because you're like really look into the relationship. And I think 8 months ago or something, I was in California and we wanted to see like, is there a base that we can work together? Like Drew drove like 2 or 3 hours from LA to San Diego on like a morning at like 6 a.m. or something. You left. We met at like 9 a.m. for breakfast. We were hanging out at
Yeah.
the beach because you brought this relationship piece in the business. Bring us a little bit in the picture. Like, how important is relationship for you as a lender, like to the investor, like the land investor, but also to the money investor? How important is that piece?
I mean, it's everything, you can put stuff into on paper. You can lawyer up and have 64-page agreements and have collateral on every single deal and have this polished bulletproof, system, but it doesn't really matter if I just feel like stronger collateral is the relationship and that person's reputation, right? So, um, like Ajay or you, let's say we do a deal together, which I don't know if I don't think you and I have done one yet, but I've done plenty with Ajay. Like that person's incentive to not, in fact, I actually use Ajay's wife's money as a funding source. And then I don't deploy it into Ajay's deals, but I deploy it in other people's deals. So I've been with Ajay on both sides. And really his incentive to not wrong me, other than ethically, is because his entire reputation is at stake, right? And our friendship, right? So that's why I focus more on underwriting the person. It's kind of the same idea as Y Combinator, where when they're looking for, they're not called angel investors. What's like the private equity? It's in between angel investors and private equity, and that step, venture capital. So when they're looking to deploy venture capital money into these, Silicon Valley 22-year-old tech startup guys, they're really vetting the person, right? Because most of the time, these business models, they're not anything unique. It's just what kind of marketing do you do? What do you do better? If you're not having a new idea, what do you do better than everyone else?
That's really good. Bring us a little bit in. I mean, you made this incredible journey from being a land operator to like being a hard money lender, or like you're not a hard money lender, but you're a lender in this space, right? So you know both worlds a little bit, right? Bring us a little bit like, like the biggest hiccups, what you see like when you encounter with land investors, what they think how that should look like, and what you as a funder think would look like. Do you know what I mean? Like there's like sometimes, like we investors, we look with a certain lens on the deals, on everything we're doing. And you as an investor look with a different lens on that. What would you say is the biggest difference from these two perspectives?
Um, I notice a lot, not a lot, but I feel like sometimes a land flipper they're susceptible to sunk cost bias and they don't even know it. So they spent 15K on a mail campaign and they didn't really get any deals from it. And so they're trying to force a deal that shouldn't happen because they're like, well, I don't want to waste the money. And it's deep down inside, it's an ego thing and it's an identity thing. So there's like a lot of like stuff in their brain, a lot of neural pathways that are causing this sunk cost bias, and they're completely unaware of it. And so
I like
they'll
it.
justify, it's like confirmation bias. They'll start looking for evidence to justify the deal. They'll look for all the good qualities, and ignore all the red flags because they're emotionally tied to it, right? Because they have money put into the mailers.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like the money guy in the transaction. What you ultimately look for is how is my capital secured, right? Like so, what's the worst case scenario here, and how likable is it that I make my return on this investment, right? This is like a complete different angle. While the land investor tries most of the time, and I see that like desperately to get a deal done, right? Like especially in the current market. What do you think about the current market in the land space in this moment?
Hmm. You know, it's slow, but, and I'm borrowing this from Clint Turner because I wasn't in the business in 2018, 2019, but I feel like it's just back to pre-COVID kind of speed. I mean, we're all middlemen. Okay, hard money lenders are not. But most of us realtors, land flippers, JV funders, we all make money based on volume, right? We don't care where price is going really. We just need people to buy and sell more often, right? And so when volume is down, we all have, compressed margins. You know, maybe during COVID we could roll our money 4 times a year, and now it's only twice a year. So yeah, my income is now affected not exponentially, but a factor of 4x, not 2x, meaning uh yeah, my income fluctuates more radically with market speeding up or slowing down than an operator because an operator is only affected by spread, and I'm affected by days of market and spread.
Mhm. Mhm. How do you see the days on market developing like across your portfolio the last 2 years?
We're seeing about 150 days on market for five-figure flips.
Hmm.
Average buy is 33, average list is 68, average sell is 56 right now.
Hmm. Interesting. So let's go a little bit into that, right? Like, I mean, you fund deals like when you get like you vet the operator, there's a good operator. Like when you're underwriting deals, because you're still looking into them, right? You try to fund everything, but you still like don't deploy blindly, right? When you look into underwriting, what's the most common things that you really look into when you have a new deal coming in? Maybe it's a newer operator you haven't worked with that much, right? So you do more. I know you have some people where you blindly deploy because you have such a track record with them, and overall it's good. But like, bring us a little bit in the picture. How
Yeah.
do you approach that as a funder? Like for everybody that has never worked with a funder to get a little bit, like into the head of one. Like, okay, I have a deal here. I want to deploy that. I want to bring it to Drew. I want to do business with him. What do I need to bring Drew? That he can underwrite the deal and give me feedback if this is a fundable deal and also a good deal that I should pursue, because this is what you do as an equity funder. You just ultimately pursue good deals, right?
Yeah. I get that question a lot, and everyone's looking for very specific numbers. And I can spit out some numbers, but it's always deal by deal and it depends on the person. But if I'm going to spit out some average numbers, it needs to be, a 2x deal, meaning we're buying at 50% of market value or below, and the absorption rate slash sell-through rate needs to be over 100%, right?
Mhm.
That's like
On
in
12
general.
months.
Yeah, in 12 months.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, it depends on the situation, the operator. If I have an operator, we've done 30 deals together, and they've sent me a ton of A+ deals, and then they send me a C- deal, I'll probably fund it because I care about the relationship, and I don't want to just cherry pick their best deals. I want to have, you know, I want to do business for years, right?
Yeah.
Um, but I think a lot of operators, they're they only seem concerned about price. Um, and I noticed they don't look as close at buildability. And that's what bites a lot of people, including me. I've done 700 deals, 6 losses, and the 4 losses were just in our break even. So I don't know if you count those, but the biggest loss was just a due diligence item that we chose to not pay for, which was a survey. Pipelines underneath the property, unbuildable, sold it for 80% less than what we bought it for, right?
Mhm.
Um, so a lot of operators, they seem to only care about the spread and getting that cost of capital as cheap as possible. And they don't seem to be underwriting the deal from a retail buyer end user perspective. So you need to look at this deal from a mom and pop's perspective that are going to build a house. So where are the utilities? What size is the water line? Does the sewer have capacity? How much does it cost to hook up the power? Who maintains the road? What kind of road is it? Does it have legal access? Is there a creek in the back? And are there septic setbacks from that creek, right? Slope. What does the slope look like? Um, what do the neighbors look like? Do they have trash everywhere? Does it look like the trailer exploded? This all matters. Doesn't mean it's a deal, doesn't mean it's a bad deal if, some of these factors are less quality. It just means that, you need to have a fatter spread to make up for the risk, right?
Yeah.
Um, so in general, you don't need to know the power hookup cost on every single deal you do, but you need to have a general idea, right? Um, and I feel like a lot of them, they don't feel like making those calls or doing the work because it's work, right? But my point to them is you need to get the reps in, and once you do that a few times in the same county, you don't need to make that call again because you know if it's the same power company and the same policy, and that power company, like I had one in Oklahoma, the first 200 feet was free. Then after that, it was $1 per foot, which is like basically heavily subsidized to get power to your house. Meaning, if you had a 5 acre, but you want to build a house all the way in the back and it's 600 feet, right? 200 feet are free and then 400 feet. So it's $400. So basically free almost. Once you know what that power company's footprint is, you don't need to call again, you know?
I mean, there was so much juice in that, right? And this is something I pray like for a long, long time, coming from the dispo end of things, right? Because after you fund it, we sell, right?
Yeah.
It's I see that happening a lot. Like that people, you do marketing. First of all, like a lot of people spread out everywhere, right? Like so they don't focus on
Yeah.
certain areas. Like you said, like, when you work certain areas, and I think, and maybe I want to hear your thoughts on that. Like where I think this industry is heading, there will be really huge operators that just roll through data sets of hundreds of thousands of records a month. And then there will be really like focused experts that know that markets, that know when I call, I don't know, CoServe, right? Like, hey, what will the power hookup cost in that area? Like how much is a feet like of power line that I need to extend? That know, okay, like how is the water system in that subdivision and in that subdivision and the sewer system. And, like when I want to subdivide, like, okay, that's a minor subdivide, a major subdivide, there's other rules around that. And these people will penetrate those markets like from multiple angles. And I think, this is where the business matured in. We really need to run that as a business in 2026, right? To get more out of the areas we're working and not just scratch the surface level on data, right? Because it makes it so much easier. Because what nobody thinks about, and this is where I start every market selection, also with our clients, right? I did one with Tom. He's on the call this week, and I was like, dude, what do we want to achieve, right? And what we don't want to achieve is what do we want to make, and then we go, okay, how does the deal need to look like, and who is buying these deals, right? And always when we have a deal like in our underwriting, like when we do it, and we run a fund too, so we have like both perspectives a little bit. It's like, who would buy that? Like, and what would they do when they go out there? And like most of the time, what would the wife say when they would go out there, right? Like, is
Yeah.
it like a building lot? Is it like, do we really want to build something? It's like on a hunting lot, like, stuff like I don't know, wetlands, flood zones are totally like irrelevant, right? Like maybe wetlands are even good on a hunting lot because there's certain like I don't know
Right.
turkeys, whatever that are in there, right? So it's like really getting when you see a deal from the first moment in this mindset to say, okay, when somebody would buy that deal, what are we looking at and what would they do? And then reverse engineer from there. Okay, what would I need to do to move that? Am I right with pricing? What do they need to know? Right. And I see a lot of people not doing that. They have a deal, they have a contract signed, and they're like, well, if the contract signed, like this bias you mentioned earlier, right? I spent 10 grand on marketing and now I finally have that deal. Let me get it funded and out there. But what they don't think about is the simple market mechanism. People buy that what they want to, and not that what you have under contract right now. Right.
Right. Yeah. And you'd be surprised, like if you don't know who's going to buy it because it's just weird. It's a weird property. It's some weird triangle some at the corner somewhere. Just get a better spread on it, you know. Um, I've bought, my very first deal I bought for 1,100 bucks in the mountains of Arizona. It had no, well, the legal access was debatable. And I'm like, I don't know who's going to buy this. And I don't even know if this business model works. And I sold it to a guy that was a fueler at a local airport. He lived an hour away from the parcel, and he just wanted to use it for camping. And I sold it for 750 down, 100 a month for 50 months or something. Basically, bought for 1,100, sold for almost 6 grand. And I was like, oh, well, there's at least one buyer out there for this weird thing that I would never be into. And then I did 200 deals in that same county, in that desert. And you learn that there are buyers out there for almost anything. But when you're not sure, just get a better spread and just test it out. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I see it the same, right? And it's also like I had a call with my team today, and we were going through a bunch of deals, actually, like 14 or 15 that were submitted in the past 7 or 10 days. So, and what we were seeing is a lot of those deals were just on the contract too high, right? And because, like, that would the investor thought they could do, you can't do that for multiple reasons, or they were just too high in the deal because they ran the comps wrong, right? And but like you said, you always can go back to the seller and negotiate after you find out stuff, right? Like that's
Yeah.
like your obligation as a land investor. Because when you do that and you have certain spreads in your deal, then you make it more attractive for the funders out there, like Drew, right? Who funds like 15, like he's scaling to 45 deals a month, right? Like, hey, these guys need to deploy capital, but they won't give you that if there's not a clear strategy and you have it on the contract for the right price. Because when you didn't do your homework, they did because they deployed their money and other people's money, right?
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think uh, another thing to be aware of is, I think a lot of the educators say to, get opinions of value from realtors, which I think is a good data point. However, they are inherently biased to be high on price because they want your listing, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So I've got spanked before. I had, yeah, I had a deal. We just closed it up a few months ago. Is a subdivide in Oklahoma. Realtor. There was no data in this area for what it was worth. There was just nothing for sale, nothing sold, and we're like, well, it's 40 minutes from Oklahoma City. It can't be that bad. We were buying it for 70, 200 an acre. Realtors were like, yeah, I could sell these for 20K an acre all day long. And we're like, great, this is gonna be an awesome deal. And we list them, no interest, crickets. Fast forward, drop price, drop price. So finally exited 9 child parcels in 18 months. And, we thought we were going to make a spread of 400K. We made 40. So I think we exited at 11K an acre or something. Um, so basically, like we worked for free. We had like a minimum wage internship for 18 months, which in this business is not the end of the world if that's, the worst deal you've done, right? In terms of headache. But yeah, just know that the realtors are incentivized to be optimistic and just use their opinion and value as a data point.
Dude, like, I always say like realtors mess up our market, right? Because what they do is like, like somebody comes with a piece of land and it's like a second thing. I think what operators do pretty much wrong is, when it's about choose the right realtor, right? I wouldn't say like that realtors are biased, like they're biased in general, but there's realtors that know what's going on, right? And this is literally that realtors that were buying and that were selling stuff in the last 12 months, right? So you need to find somebody that has moved stuff in your area, that knows how to evaluate that you really like move that stuff on price points that work, right? And there's always a couple, but don't go out there. Be happy that you get a realtor on your phone that lists your property, because in the very end, what realtors do is they put a point the middle of the map, and when they have enough comps to determine a price, no matter what those comps look like, they spit you out a price. This is what a residential realtor does. A land realtor will tell you what's going on, who is buying this in this county, right? He will go out there, he will check it out, he will. I was our friend Clay, right? Like we talked about like our worst deals like a couple of days on the phone. Like he found a mess lab on a property. I found a mess lab on a property like 3 years back, right? Like I've already bought it, right? And we could get it out there with sheriff and all of that. But it's just like, this realtors can be a strong partner, right? Like a really strong partner, because they're your feet on the ground and they know the market and they have buyers. But you need to choose the right persons, almost like all the time, like when when you bring a realtor on to sell a property, you hire somebody new on your team, right? And what you want to have is A players on your team, right? So hire A realtors too, because the 99% of the other realtors that will just mess up your deal.
Yeah. And if you do a sales team in-house, it's going to be more work. And actually, you're going to probably pay more between the land.com slots and paying an in-house salesperson commission. It's probably going to be more expensive. However, in my opinion, your days on market are going to be half or less because I feel like a lot of realtors, they'll hit a buyer lead once or twice and then they're like, oh, they're not interested. Versus an in-house salesperson, at least when I did it myself and when I trained my own, you're going to hit them 6 to 12 times before you consider them a dead lead, right? My leads per sale ratio when I was doing it myself was 8 to 1. And that includes two leads out of the 8 that ghost you right away. So it was really 6 to 1. Um, because I was relentless with follow up. I would take calls pretty much anytime I wasn't sleeping. And you can find a salesperson like that. Peter Nukasani has a sales guy. I've met him twice in person who is very affordable. I don't want to say how much he makes, but it's very affordable, and he loves it. He lives and breathes land sales, and that's all he does. And yeah, you just might want to consider doing it in house, but it's a whole department and training, and then you got 3K a month on land.com slots, and so different avenues to go, realtor or in-house sales.
Oh, it's interesting you brought that up, right? Because a lot of people are asking that, right? Like it's um like my point of view on that is that the best thing you could do is a combination of both of them, if that makes sense, right? Because the problem is like the realtors rely heavily on the MLS, and the good ones have buyers lists and contacts in that area, right? But when they
Hmm.
exhaust that, they don't have a hit, then you will stuck with that for a while. The problem is now when you have a land.com account or generate leads and just give it to them, they will never call them because they're lazy also, right? And you're still like a small ticket probably in their whole portfolio
Right.
that they're marketing right now, right? So, but when you have an in-house sales team that can qualify those leads and like see, hey, sort out the tire kickers and engage them quickly, like I always feel like this 15 minutes mark, right? Like, especially when you generate online leads is super important on sales, even more than on acquisitions, right? That you really reply within 15 minutes, because what are buyers doing? They're scrolling, right, on a
Hmm.
land marketplace or in Facebook or wherever, and you're one of many, and then they
Hmm.
inquire, they will have forgotten
Yeah.
about you when you when you're not fast enough, right?
Right.
But when you have a really good person that can take those calls, qualify that person, they don't necessarily, that can be a really good VA, can do that job, right? A lead qualification VA. And then you can close them with a realtor. That was over the years the best thing we found out you could do, because then with a realtor you ultimately build a lot of trust, right? When you want that, because it's a process, somebody that's there, that's a real sale agreement, right? Like and all that. And we have done both too. We have closed in-house, we've closed with realtors, we have the combination. That's the ultimate, but it also requires a lot to get that rolling. And I think when you're in the beginning of your business, relying on realtors is a good thing, because it's an outsourced marketing and dispositions thing. But the more advanced you get, the more you want to provide those guys with leads too, right? Like, or close in-house, because there's no such thing, no better salesperson than an owner of a company, right? Because you're always going out with the credibility as an owner of the company.
Yeah. And I think when you touched on the 15-minute thing, I think that's super important, to have someone either answering those calls live or within, I think I told my sales manager, I think I told her 10 minutes, both for acquisition and disposition. Within 10 minutes, you need to be calling them back. Ideally, you're answering live. And really, when they have land fever, you got to move quick. You got to get that because we used to do self closings. So we would try to collect that down payment same day. Do not wait, do not wait 2 days. Get that, even if it's $500. This was for cheapo desert stuff. Even if it's $500, get that credit card, get that thing signed. And then if they want to have cold feet later, that's fine. But, get them committed ASAP, because, you know, like we're in a different mood the next day usually, right? I almost
Dude,
bought a.
huh?
Do you guys know like the Ineos Grenadier?
No.
It's basically a budget G wagon. It's an off-road truck with a BMW engine, built in a smart car factory in France, and it's designed by a British billionaire that got rejected from Land Rover. And he's like, "F you, Land Rover. I'm just gonna build my own." So I almost bought one of those last fall, so a few months ago, and I was so into it. I was obsessing over it. I was like looking up all this ground clearance and specs, and I test drove. And I had the prudence to not buy it. And I was like, I'll wait. And then now, 2 months later, I don't have any desire for one. It's gone. So same thing with land, you know, get people when they're interested, because they might lose interest.
Yeah, I think that's like one of the most important things, right? Like on the disposition end, it's like, and I'm happy you brought that up. Like when you do in-house closing, in-house sales, collect money the same day. Have that set up, right? Like one of the major rules that we had with our in-house closing teams was we collected 10% EMD that's wired to the title company when it's bigger. Ideally, everything up to $2,000, we sent like a payment link that day. You pay that by credit card right now to lock you into the deal for exactly the same reason, right? They come in, right, like, and they say, yeah, I want it. And yeah, then you give them too much choice, right, like to do that, like, and they can back out. They're an online lead and they're in the market, and maybe somebody else has reached out in the next like 12, 24 hours. But when you do in-house closings, get the contract signed on the phone and collect a payment in the same moment. And the payment is the more important thing than the signature on the contract, because
Yeah.
the payment is the emotional contract you do with them.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
it needs to be
Even if it's,
significant. It needs to hurt.
yeah. Even if it's refundable, it makes the deal very sticky.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and when we did that, like, in the beginning, we always did like $100, and then the rest to the title company. No, and one point I said, dude, we're losing too many deals here because people don't show up. $100 is not a commitment, or $500. You need to get them 10% out of their pocket. And when it's an owner financing transaction, we collect the down payment. Hey, I finance your deal, so you give me what I asked you for to make that happening right now. Okay, let's go. Right. And
Yeah.
super, super important, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think a big thing with the land business is have fun. If you're not having fun, I think there's seasons where you're not going to have fun. But if you've been in for 2 years and you never had fun, there's something wrong. Um, there should be dopamine hits from locking up big, locking up anything. I used to, I remember just having like so much fascination with the fact that I could convince complete strangers. This was when we did self-closing. I could convince complete strangers to deed their property to me with no collateral, no escrow, no earnest money. They deed it to me first, and then I send them a check in the mail a week later. To me, that was like I get to feel like a scammer, but I'm not, right? And then on the exit, on the dispo, same thing. I would have people pay me first, then the next day I sign it over to them. So same thing. Like you should be having fun. You should get those dopamine hits from getting stuff under contract. The biggest bummer for as a land funder is I don't get any of those excitement, roller coaster emotions anymore because I don't know. It's just every day I'm sending out 40K and the next day 45 comes back and then 59 goes out the next day and then 35 comes back the day after that. It's I I'm not as involved and it's I feel it. I need to like chase dopamine in other ways now.
Love it. You want to hear my craziest closing story on the dispo side? Yeah, it was
Yeah.
wild. I was on a call. It was like very much in the beginning, 2022, and my English was not like it was today. I had still like this weird German dialect. I was missing half of the words, right? And I was talking with this lady she was from Port Vero Beach. We were talking about a 10-acre property in the Tallahassee area in Florida. And she just said, "I'm an artist. I need to get out of here. I'm sick of my house. I'm going to sell it tomorrow to a friend. I need this lot. I want to drive up there with my RV bus, park it there, and live there for the next year." I said, "Okay, that's great. So yeah, we want to do a deal." Yeah, she said, "Cool, let's do a deal. You're going to send you a contract. Title company? No, no, no. You don't understand me. Like, I want to close that deal right now." I said, "Okay, but how do we want to do that?" I said, she said it was like 75 grand. She said, "Yeah, can we just put it on a credit card?" I said, "Yeah, sure." So
Mm.
I created a payment link. We were working with Facebook, with QuickBooks at that point. So I sent a wild stranger. It was the first call we had. It was 20 minutes. I sent her a payment link on QuickBooks where she put her credit card details in on that call, had never been at the property, and made a $75,000 payment on her Amex for that property.
Yeah.
Had never been there, had never had the deed. Like didn't have a deed, she didn't know me, whatever. She just gave me, paid it, and I was just praying that QuickBooks will not decline that payment.
Right. Or that it
And
wasn't a stolen credit card.
no, it was not. It was her credit
Yeah.
card. Everything was probably. I let her send me like an ID and all that, and everything was probably. And I wouldn't have even thought at that point because I was like so like you in everything. I was still learning how to do business in the U.S. I wouldn't have even asked for an ID or whatever. Fortunately, everything went well. She put it on a credit card. We just like closed the transaction, and she calls me 3 weeks later, and the property was on every map, high and dry and whatever. And she was asking me, it was 10 acres. "Hey, Robin, I just we looked that up on the map and I thought it's like pretty and in the woods and so, but why are there gators swimming in my backyard?" So, so what happened is there was in that town a paper mill, and they were just like wildly flushing out the paper mill water, like in the thing. Nobody was complaining, like totally polluted. But nobody was complaining because everybody lived from that paper mill in that area. So like, and 5 acres of that 10 acres were a pond now, and there were gators swimming in that pond. She was
Mm.
living there in her RV for the next like half year. What I visited her there. She invited me to see the gators and to show me her art that she was doing because she
Yeah.
was no longer a singer anymore. She was now an artist, probably. Like I didn't see too much art, but dude, that was the wildest thing I ever experienced. Like the person 20 minutes on the phone, $75,000 on the credit card, right? And I get it. These are the dopamine hits you get in the business and what you live a little bit for, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And you live for those weird stories where you're like, I don't know if I'm gonna shot or arrested or scammed, but hopefully everything's okay. I had a guy, he was like, "Can I pay you in cash, like actual real cash?" And I'm like, I guess so. So he drove to my house. I gave him my real address. Actually, back then I had my real address and my real phone number on all the mailers. So, because I'm like, what are they gonna do? Like, come to my house? I'll have a Glock. I don't care. So he comes over. He's covered in tattoos. He's got face tattoos, and sure enough, he counts out 40 grand on the table. I sign him over the deed. He leaves, and I'm like, I hope this money's real. Go to the bank, money's real. Turns out he was just a famous tattoo artist. He was on TV, and he probably just had income he wanted to launder, not pay taxes on. But yeah, just like weird stuff, you know. I had
Yeah,
a
yeah.
Glock. I was hiding a gun. I texted him a few months later to see how he was doing. He was like, "Hey, you know, I had a gun on me at that point." And I was like, "Yeah, I had one too." And yeah, nobody shot each other. It was fun.
I love it, bro. I love it, bro. Let's I mean we're heading like in the last couple of minutes and I want to open it up for some Q&A the last minutes, but where do you see the industry heading? Like from your perspective, like the next 2, 3, 4 years, how will land investing change? What are you seeing right now?
You know, I think we've beat a dead horse with the whole like, is this business model going away? Is it too crowded? I think once you've been doing deals for years and you realize, oh, this is just a normal business model. It's not some unicorn special business model that is just going to get discovered one day and then all the margins are eaten up. It's like, no, there's a lot of brain damage with this business model, and a lot of people wash out, right? So if you're struggling with, hey, is this going to get discovered and my secret's going to get found out? Just go to a donut shop, sit in the donut shop, and just realize that it's a business model. For 300 years they've been selling white bread covered in sugar and like low quality coffee, and they're fine, they're making money, they're like, it's a profitable business model, and you could claim that that's the most saturated business model out there. It's a donut shop, right? So if you're struggling with that, I would just push back against it. um, where the market's going, I don't know. I hope it doesn't stay slow, but my belief is that this is the slowest it gets in a normal range, right? I believe we're at a trough for volume. Um, and if you're doing okay during a slow time, then you're going to do even better when it speeds up, right? In terms of changing, I'm sure AI calling, AI texting, I'm sure that'll change things. I know Sumner just released, Leah 2.0. Um, Oh, we got to talk about my event at the end. Um,
Oh yeah.
yeah, I think AI calling will be big. I'm sure there'll be compliance. There's going to be compliance stuff that comes down the pipeline with that, where, there's laws and stuff. Um, but I would just encourage anybody, just find something you're good at within this niche, find a niche within the niche, and just keep doing that. I mean, I know a guy, he only does deals in Alabama within a 2 hour driving, and he even bought his own bulldozer to do his own dirt work. And he's got like two guys that work for him. And so just find what you're good at and just get good at doing that. I'm good at relationships, I think, and I'm good at sending out money and cash forecasting. And so a funder is a good fit for me. But if you like to get your hands dirty and dig trenches, go do subdivides, in your hometown, you know?
I love that. I love that. And like it sticks with me because the thing is, like the riches is in the niches, right? And I'm always like really fascinated. Like Drew and E, we regularly meet on any events, like, and he has an event coming up, and I think that's super cool. But they made this supercars event in Denver. So when Drew does the next event, you want to be there because the interesting thing about these events is you're in a room with 100 people, and there's 100 different ways of how they run their business. right? Like, and not like in general, everybody is still in land investing space, but there's 100 different ways of how they run acquisitions, how they do this, how they do that, how they do this, right? So, yeah, when Drew through some events, you want to be there, and I know you have one coming up, right?
Yeah, we
Tell us a
just
little bit more
announced
about it.
it. Yeah, yesterday Sumner and I announced it. It's partnership with Leah and Rooster Capital, which is my company. So basically, Sumner and I are hosting a mastermind in Bali, limited to 25 people. Um, I don't know if you haven't been to a mastermind, I would recommend you go to one. It doesn't have to be mine, but the difference between a mastermind and conference is a lot of people, there's pitches, there's upsells. You're kind of there for the networking and you're like in loud spaces drinking and people are like spitting in your mouth because they have to talk so loud. That's a conference. Mastermind is like tears and revelations and friendships and business partnerships are born there. And the reason is because you do something called hot seats, where every person gets 2 hours. They sit in the middle. They're the focus of that whole 2 hours. And you go through your business model, talk about what you're struggling with, and the group helps you identify blind spots. And usually, almost every single person, I've done, I think, 6 masterminds now, um, maybe more. But usually, most people leave their hot seat session with some big decision being made. Hey, I need to fire this toxic employee. Hey, I need to leave my business partner and start my own business because, like, they're driving me crazy and I'm doing all the work, right? Some big emotional decision is usually made in that hot seat session where it's totally worth the money. Also, deals are done there. I walked away from the one in Puerto Rico that I hosted, and I had 450K of net profit in deals from that event, from deals that other guys didn't want to do, but I did, and I got deals from it, right? So this event we're hosting is in Bali at the end of March, March 18th through the 23rd. I did put it into this Zoom chat for those of you on social media. It's Bali Land Mastermind .lovable.app. So that's the link, and we've got 2 tiers. We've got the normal ticket and then the baller ticket. And I put some Easter eggs in there. I have a $10 on the checkout page. You could pay $10 to an awareness campaign for Sumner to wear more shirts, more clothing. Because if you guys don't know him, he's always in social media without a shirt, and he thinks it's funny when I poke fun at him. So got some Easter eggs on that website. Poke around, and would love to see you guys there.
I love that. You know what? I'm going to see if I can make that happen. Like, yeah, it sounds like a fun event. So, guys, Joe, first of all, thank you so much for sharing so much about the business, about funding, and all of that. And I can just tell you, like, when they do a mastermind, you want to be there because Sumner and Drew are like probably one of the most knowledgeable people in our space. So there will things you walk away with that are big. And I've been in a bunch of masterminds, and mastermind rooms is where you make decisions and just get better, right? And even when they are often on a ticket like 4 to 5 figures, but the decisions you make will probably be worth like millions of dollars. So think about that. And I think you guys will bring a fun event together. I know both of you, right? So there will be a lot of fun included in that too. With that said, thank you so much for being on here, for being with us. And what I'm going to do is I open it up for Q&A for the last 5 minutes, if that's okay with you. So if there's something you wanted to ask Drew for the last 55 minutes, fire it out, and let's get ready to rock and roll here.
Hey Drew, this is Glenn.
Hey, Glenn.
Hey, what markets are you in? Are you just in the raw land or commercial stuff, industrial stuff, whatever? I mean,
Yeah, really only residential raw land. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. I've dabbled, but I want to stick with what's working.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, it's fired out. Like you will never get that close to a funder like this right now in a one-on-one a setting like
Unless
this.
you're Vlad and you have my number.
Yeah, Vlad has my number too. So it's sometimes really
It's a
interesting
tall guy.
conversations at night. It's a tall guy club. We should make a tall guys
Yeah.
club WhatsApp group or something like that, right?
That means you discriminate against me.
Yeah, that's what we do. Like, did you ever realize as a tall person that people always ask you, how tall are you? And like, how's the air up there? Like, it's literally the same thing
Well,
as when you go to a fat person and ask, how heavy are you? Like
well,
all the
no,
time. Like, did you ever do that? Like, like
well,
I'm sometimes like, when people, oh, you're really tall. Oh yeah, you're really tiny. Like,
and,
like or, you're really fat, right? I think you can say that, right? Like,
I mean, how
and the
many,
people are there sometimes like looking, what's going on with you, right?
I mean, how many times have you heard, did you play basketball?
Oh, a lot of times. But
Oh,
like, I think the top one is like, how's the air up there? Right? Like that's probably the top one. I've heard that in probably 12 languages. Meanwhile, I just speak three. So like the other ones I know it, like what it means, right? But it's like, how's the air up there? And yeah, did you play basketball? But that's a really American thing because you Americans with your sports, you really know basketball. Anywhere else in the world, they don't know basketball, right? Like
Glenn, Glenn, my response to when somebody asks me, do I play basketball? I say I play mini golf.
Do you have an extension for the stick? We should maybe market bring something like that out. I think there's a market for extension for mini golf sticks because I always break my back when I play mini golf.
And you
Any
hit all the
question?
spider webs. You
Oh
guys
yeah,
hit all the spider webs first? I get like spider webs in my face all the time.
yeah, yeah. Really interesting is when I'm looking for something. My wife is 5'2", right? So I'm 6'8". Like when I store stuff, I store it on top of things and not down there. So always when I'm looking for something, she's like look on top of everything, right? And I find it usually there because I just drop it there, right? Like and it's interesting. Good. Do we have any other questions for Drew? Like other than just tall people have different problems in the world than other people, right?
Bad posture. Can't fit in
Oh
most
yeah.
cars.
Airplanes. What about airplanes?
I don't mind those because the army used to like stuff us in buses and airplanes, and I feel like
Buses.
I'm
I
used
can't
to.
do buses, dude. Like I can't do buses. It's like impossible.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that's
Any
why I
more
don't go to
questions?
to Asia, right? Because they have a lot of buses there, and I can't do buses. It's like not possible. It's my physiology. Great, guys.
Yeah.
If you want to learn how to act like a real land operator in 2026, get to our school. Most of let's drop the link. I brought you like the whole piece what Drew was talking about today, like how you really become a serious operator together in like one comprehensive course. But what's more important, we have people like Drew in our school community, and Drew, I sent you an invite. I promised you that. That really are doing deals like we're doing deals. So that's like really an operator community. It's not about like, hey, you can watch and learn. It's like bring your deals, let's do them together, let's comp them together, get them together. It's $27. It will never be that cheap again. It's one-time payment. So let's get in there. Let's do it together. Drew, thank you so much for chiming in. I will see if I can make the Bali thing happening. Like we have a bunch going on in March, but I'm going to see like maybe we can bake that in.
Yeah. And we have sidekick tickets. So if you're willing, if you're close enough to somebody to share a bed, you can basically get like almost half off for that second ticket because you're sharing a hotel room.
Oh, I just bring my wife. Like
Yeah.
she would love that. I think. How do you fly from Dallas? Like, give me an insight in that. Like, how long is the flight? I don't have a clue, dude.
a long way.
You'll connect in Tokyo probably. But
Like,
for late March, the tickets are dirt cheap. My ticket I'm about to buy will be $800 round trip
that's
with
great.
one layover.
Yeah. I need to check that out. Cool. Guys, see everyone next week on this call. We have a couple of pop-in sessions in between, and next week we have Justin Pichet here. He will talk about from like how do you really run a high volume land business, and you can be fired up about that. So Drew, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for sharing all your wisdom, and yeah, thank you everyone for hanging in here with us. And I say good night and bye-bye.